I'm actively investing in businesses the way it should have always been done, at least in my opinion. I'm Mike Michalowicz, and I started the prospergroup.org to work with businesses, perhaps like yours, that are struggling to get to the next level. I have a long-term friend, Greg, who said, Mike, you've had investors in your businesses. What do you think the ideal structure would have been with those? I said, well, Greg, I didn't want someone just to give me advice. It often became talk therapy, stuff I didn't execute on. And said, I didn't want people taking equity because I was writing check after check after check long after their value was gone. And even when I sold the business, they had a piece of it. So I said, I wish I had someone that gave me guidance, that was inserted in the business and worked hand in hand with me and didn't take any equity, and that their success was fully contingent upon my success. And he said, that's fantastic. So why don't you create it? And that was the inception of the Prosper Group. You can check out theprospergroup.org. If you are a $2 million company or larger, and you are working your tail off in your business, or if you're surviving check by check, or all the above, those are the businesses that we're investing in. We never take equity. We only share in the improvement, the success of your business. And after 3 years, we give you the keys back to your business, and you continue on in the healthier, better state. I think it's the ultimate win for small business. Maybe it's the ultimate win for you. Come visit us at theprospergroup.org and apply today.
Welcome to Profit First Nation, the official podcast for entrepreneurs who are operating their businesses in the zone of permanent profitability. I'm Mike Michalowicz, the author of Profit First, and now here's your Profit First Nation guide, Daniel Mulvey.
Welcome back to another edition of Profit First Nation. And today we are so lucky. We have the author of not only Profit First, but the author of All In, Mike Michalowicz, joining us today.
Hey, Danielle, it's great to see you.
Yes. And this episode is all about play and being a playful leader. And, it makes things fun and exciting and really bonds the team. So, Mike, tell us about what you do on a daily basis to integrate play into your leadership.
Yeah. Well, to your point, first of all, it is absolutely critical. There is this whole human component. And one term that I realize has been hurting, at least my perception of my colleagues, is this concept of human resources, seeing someone as a resource, meaning an asset or a tool to use, but not the whole human. There's a great book that came out, I wish I wrote it, called Super Communicators by Charles Duhigg. And he explores how we build confidence and trust in each other. No surprise here, it's through play, it's through questioning, it's through reciprocity, it's through active dialogue. But what I found interesting is it's got to build. If you show up for your first day of employment, like, hey, we're going today to the water park and that's play day, it can be too intense. So we have to start slow and let it grow. Foundationally, we were talking offline, we have a daily huddle, and that's a perfect platform to start some experimental stuff. One thing we started was at the end of the huddle, an employee picks their favorite song of the day. And some of us get up and dance around, some of us don't. There's no pressure, like, hey, we're all doing this, you must do it. But we just do it. And over time, more and more people start doing it. Well, my one colleague who you sometimes talk with, Erin, she's my personal assistant. She is by the book. She is buttoned down, and she doesn't feel comfortable expressing herself that way, particularly based upon her past work experience, which was a large corporation. And so we do this dance off and stuff, and she would sit there and she would ingratiate us with a smile, but she wouldn't do anything beyond that. And then one day it was her turn to pick the song. She loves Grateful Dead. And it was a Grateful Dead tune. And we all start dancing. And you see her kind of look around, and she gets up and she does like one of these things, like, I guess I'm in. And she starts dancing. And now she's leading it. It's interesting. Play, just like with children, we're the same as adults. Someone's got to take the risk of doing it, moving that Matchbox car around or playing with that doll. And then the other kid sees and says, well, I want to do that too. Leaders initiate the play, I found.
And like you said, it's going to take everyone different levels of comfort and warming up to things and such. And so what's important, I think, about when you bring in play to your environment is that you are intentional about it to a certain degree and making sure that you've got those elements coming in on ideally a daily basis, but then being consistent with it. You don't want to start the song of the day and then 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, someone forgot. Then the next day, someone forgot, and then it becomes gone. It really, as the leader, you got to keep the ball going and you got to
You
keep
do.
it moving. And if it drops, you need to make sure that it gets picked up. Don't let the team hijack that. So, what's interesting. And I think, too, the daily huddle is such a tremendous opportunity to make sure that everyone is starting the day in a great state, like a physical and emotional state. And obviously, incorporating the music, I mean, opportunity to insert more energy into it and such. I like to look at the daily huddle as a way to kick off our day and again, make sure everyone is operating in a great state. So even as the leader, sometimes, especially with kids at home and getting them ready and getting them out the door and off to school, things don't always go according to plan and such. And, there could be some frustrations at home, but I make sure that I leave them at the door and I show up as the leader for my team and I put a smile on my face. And I
Yeah.
lead making sure that I'm bringing everyone up to a great state.
Hey there, my friend. This is Mike Michalowicz, the author of Profit First. I have really exciting news. My friend Casey Anton wrote the definitive book for restaurants and hospitality businesses. It's called Profit First for Restaurants. If you don't have your copy yet, there's a website to go to. It's Profit First for the number 4 restaurants.com.
When we're starting our day and when we're starting our daily huddle. And so I know we follow very similar structure to the daily huddle. So I want to just break it down a little bit and share some of the secrets to it. Because doing this for over 20 years in our businesses, at first we made some mistakes. So what's
Yeah.
important about daily huddle is that everyone's standing. So
Yes.
again,
Yes.
it's getting into that right state. It's putting a little effort. But the other thing about standing is it makes it go a little bit faster than if everyone's sitting. And when we moved offices, this is back in my Maverick Group days when I had an advertising and marketing agency, we moved offices. And when we moved offices, we ended up like having this really cool loungy area that had some amazing couches and such. And I realized that at some point, people started sitting and then the meetings started happening when we were sitting and I'm like, gosh, why is this taking so long? And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
everyone's enjoying the comfy lounge area. We were doing it a little too close. And so
Yeah.
now when we have daily huddles, it's in a room that literally doesn't have chairs. Like everyone gathers around a tall table. There's no chairs. So I'm not going to fall into that trap again of people sitting down. But that is one secret to it.
Yeah, it absolutely is. What's so interesting is sitting puts us in a passive state. You'll notice if you get into a forward state, you actually lean forward, you lean in, or you stand up. People present a lot more confidently and a lot more succinctly. It brings energy up. But also the dynamic nowadays, I just had a call yesterday with a team that was talking about huddles. How do you do it? They're purely remote. I said, I'll
Oh,
stand up. And they're like, well, we're remote. I'm like, the energy is the same. Like right now, as I'm doing this, we're both standing.
we
It
are.
changes our state. And I said, listen, if it's not practical because of how the cameras are set up and you can't do it, you can intersect that or intercept it with standing moments. So use a timer if you have to do it seated for whatever reason, but then insert break dance, a break and then not break dancing, but take a break and dance or take a break and move. So I really want to challenge anyone listening in, do your huddle standing. But if you have a significant reason why that's not practical, you need to get motion going. Now, I'll share the kind of the structure we use. I'm curious about the parallels and
Yeah.
differences. Core structure is we run our meetings for 15 minutes, regardless of the size. So I run huddles with 30 people in 15 minutes and I run huddles with 7 people in 15 minutes. We do use a timer. We start off with metrics saying, here's the significant KPIs for the organization, just gets everyone on a page. And then someone that's responsible for that metric says, here's our big issue currently, what we're trying to sort out, whatever that may be. Then we go around and say, give a personal update each person. Now, if you're a large organization, we do it just the leader of each division, and they have sub huddles prior or post, but usually prior. We go around to each person and say, what's the big thing you committed to accomplishing yesterday that moved the organization forward? Did you get it done or not? And if you didn't, tell us why and how you're going to resolve that. And if you did, what's been the impact? Yes, you can do that in 10 seconds. My big one was to appear on 10 podcasts. I got them all done. I think we spread the word to 10,000 new potential listeners, 10 seconds. Then the next thing is, what's your big commitment for today? Now, sometimes it's just dynamically. We hear the KPIs and say, oh, I have to actually adjust. I had planned this, but I'm doing that. The third thing is a personal update. And a personal update is just share a little story about what's going on with your life. What's so interesting is, according to Charles Duhigg, super communicators, it's a little insight, it's a little connection. And because everyone's giving an update, there's a sense of reciprocity and stories happen after that. We can have discussion point. Last thing we do, is there any red flags? Is there any issues that you want to raise the red flag on that's impeding you and able to work or in another capacity? One huddle, this was many years ago, but one person said, my computer keeps dropping off the internet. And another person during there said, my computer keeps dropping off the internet. And another person, our IT guy heard this and he said, when I heard the first person, I was going to work on their computer and it would take me an hour to diagnose it. When I heard it replicating, I knew it was none of the computers, it was in the server room. And he fixed it so much quicker as a result. Then the last thing we do for huddle is we have the big sign off. It's a form of tradition. We may have a dance out. That's what we do at our office right now, where we play music and you can dance it out. Some do a clap, like the old football huddles. Others, first professionals, we say, proud to be profitable, and then we raise our hands. So you can end it any way you want to, but there has to be a clear conclusion, just like the football huddles.
Struggling to turn a profit in your business? Profit First Nation shares the proven systems used by thousands of entrepreneurs to transform from barely surviving to permanently profitable. Mike Michalowicz and Danielle Mulvey have been in your shoes. Now they pass on what they've learned, the exact financial hacks and mindset shifts to drive profitability through the roof. Real stories from the entrepreneurial trenches. A clear path to earn great money doing work you love. Join the Profit First community. Transform your business from a cash-eating monster to a profitable money-making machine. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Passion, profit, and play await in the Profit First Nation.
So I run multiple teams like you. And so we have in-office teams and then we have purely remote teams. The in-office team, as I mentioned, we go into a room where just a tall tables and gather around there. We start with the daily celebration. So
That's
again,
cool.
something positive. And again, kind of raising the state. And I always have something in my back pocket. Sometimes the team has this daily celebrations. They have something, I let them take the stage and I just keep that one back in my back pocket, maybe for use later.
That's so smart. Hey, it's Mike Michalowicz, and you are listening to a brand new episode brought to you by Profit First for Contractors, written by Sean Van Dyke.
But again, the leader, this is your job to always be prepared and to always be bringing up the team. So after the celebration, we go around and everyone shares the 3 things they did yesterday and the 3 things that they're going to do today. And we track it. Like we write it down. We have a
Yeah, we
big
do too.
log. I think it's really important that there's that accountability, that it's being tracked. Someone can't change it up or, if they forgot something, it's like, oh, well, what about this, from yesterday and such. So that's a big, awesome thing in terms of just ensuring accountability across the organization. Then different departments, the head of the department will share metrics as part of their 3 things. So they'll kick off with their metrics and then they'll give their 3 things from the day before and the 3 things that they're going to do today. And as a leader, what I'm listening for, kind of like you're listening for too, are the red flags? Is there something that just seems to be they're not getting much progress on and there's a bottleneck? And sometimes it's just making a call to a higher level up contact than our person has in an organization. And so after that, our team throughout things, when it's their time on the floor and they're sharing their 3 things, they can give shout outs to other team members. Hey, Peter was awesome. He went and picked up the check that was ready from the general contractor in Diamond Bar, and that was a big help. And so we track the shout outs again on our 11x17 sheet. And then at the end of the week, whoever has the most shout outs gets to spin the wheel. And then we have just a prize book. You can get the wheel at IKEA. And,
Yeah.
and then we just have a notebook that has the numbers and there's different prizes behind each number. So whatever they land on, we flip to that page in the book and they win that prize. And we have gift cards, cash, fun other things and such. And so that has been really fun. And I mean, we track everything in our organization. And so we actually even include any bonus PTO that they get. So when we close the office early, we track that and it's shown on their pay stubs. But then when we do their annual review and create their total compensation and such, we include highlighting all of that about how many bonus PTO days they got in addition to everything else. But I also share with them, because it's super easy to track, how much they won in the prizes on having the most shout outs. And what's really interesting is it's not like one person just dominates everyone. Like
Interesting.
everyone is like within the prizes vary and it's just luck of the draw, what prize you get and such. But I think it was like less than a 10% variable when you totaled up each team member's winnings over the year from the prize wheel. That shows that you have a great team. Everyone is stepping up. And one thing we also do, since we have that prize wheel and that prize package, is sometimes if we're having a meeting about something or, and I'll just throw out like, oh, okay, does anyone want to guess how many people replied to the opt in last week? And we play by Price is Right rules whenever we guess and such. It's
Oh,
just a fun way to insert a little energy, a little fun, a little of the unexpected.
I love that. There was a thing we did. We said back in high school or grade school, what are all the games we played? And we're like, oh, when someone did something great, we do fireworks. That's where you clap your hands, you go, shh. Like, let's do that to celebrate someone. We said, oh, show and tell. Everyone loved show and tell. So we do show and tell. We tell someone, this is your week, bring in something and tell us about it. What's interesting is when we're having fun, it doesn't need to be a cost, an expenditure necessarily. You can, and those gifts are great, but there's other ways of expressing it. You also want to occasionally add to or change up the routine. So for us, the dance off is popular now, but we'll introduce something new at some point. The show and tells are popular now. We'll introduce something else. We also learned from the old school days that the overnights, sleepovers and camping was love. So we're like, all right, we'll do sleepovers. Now it's not you're going to sleep in someone's house. We do retreats, but we'll get a big home, or in certain cases, as the organization gets bigger, you can do an Airbnb, rent homes near each other. And then we're all hanging out. And what's so interesting is around the campfire or while making dinner together, we will cook dinners together. Those activities, we don't talk business. And yet the greatest connections come about, which supports the business. Larger organizations, I'll give you just a couple of ideas. Start teams. If you internally are a proponent of something, you are a leader. You don't have to be the owner or have C in your title. You could be anyone who just has an idea and says, I really like kickball and I get a kick out of it. Let me see if I can organize this. And you've become a leader of the organization and are having extraordinary impact. And maybe a manager of yours can support that and encourage those type of activities. I'll share another thing that I think is fun. I was talking with a group yesterday. Actually, you and I were talking offline about them. It's a bookkeeping firm. It's growing very quickly, but they're all virtual. And they were talking about the huddles, but they were also talking about the predicted and known time of the season, January, February, a little bit of March, where it's crazy for bookkeepers. And she goes, we're working 60 or 80-hour weeks per employee. It's predictable. We're trying to do everything we can to ease it up, but we simply know it's coming. What can we do? Well, we brainstormed about it and said, if it's predictable pain, let's not try to raw our way out of it. I think that's a mistake some leaders do is things suck, but we really got this. That encouragement may work for about a few seconds and then it fades away. And if you do it too many times, then it actually has a counter effect. So we said, why don't we call it 60 days of pure pain? And we'll just say, the painful season's coming, but we're going to have like an advent calendar. And every day you're flipping something and maybe there's a little reward for success, or there's this a fortune cookie that says a funny saying about how it sucks to work so hard, but we're that one day closer to show progress. And these were their ideas and they embraced it. They said, yeah, instead of pretending things are good, when things are tough, let's say they're tough, but let's gamify it.
Yeah, totally gamify.
Hey, this episode is sponsored by Profit First for e-commerce sellers. Big shout out to the author, Cindy Thomason. Thanks for supporting the show. And you, my friend, make sure you get a copy of the book today.
I loved what you had to share about the retreats and overnight and such. I think that's a perfect lead in into what you and Adrian Dorison with Run Like Clockwork have on the calendar. So Camp Clockwork, guys, is October 14th through 17th in Nashville, Tennessee. You get to go to summer camp with Mike Michalowicz and Adrian Dorison, and you are going to rediscover the power of play. You'll reignite your creativity by just being out there in nature and hanging out with other like-minded, driven, exciting entrepreneurs. That's the best part, is the community. And then that'll help you really transform your business by getting out, getting into the woods, getting into nature, and getting to hang with Mike and Adrian. So if you guys are interested in Camp Clockwork, just go to campclockwork.com and secure your tent ASAP. I think you're not really intense. You have
We're glamping
nicer
for sure.
accommodations. Secure your spot so you don't miss out, because this is just a really amazing opportunity to hang and break bread and make s'mores and zip line. I mean, you guys have so many incredible activities planned.
Carry the egg
Yeah.
on the spoon. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's campclockwork.com. And those dates are October 14th through 17th. And so make sure you secure that spot now. And then we talked a little bit, just touched on it, about how do you translate the daily huddle into a remote. So check out the resource for this episode, and I will share with you behind the scenes. I have one team that is fully remote, and I'll share with you, we call that meeting the daily vitamin C. And so check out the resources for episode 159, and you'll see how we run that daily vitamin C meeting.
Hey, this is Mike Michalowicz, the author of Profit First, and I'm proud to report that John Briggs, the author of Profit First for Micro Gyms, is supporting this show. If you haven't read that book yet and you have a gym, my gosh, pick it up today.
Thank you so much for joining us, Mike. And if you would like to work with a certified Profit First professional accountant, bookkeeper, or coach, go to profitfirstnation.com and click on contact. And that's also where you can connect with us and sign up for our free resources as well. Cheers to another profitable day.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Profit First Nation podcast. We hope you found today's episode valuable and that it's inspired you to take action towards achieving permanent profitability in your business. If you want to learn more about how to implement Profit First in your business and connect with a community of like-minded entrepreneurs, be sure to visit us at profitfirstnation.com to download our how-to guides and resources. Remember, permanent profitability is within your reach, and we're here to support you every step of the way. So let's do Profit First right together.
Profit First Nation website, related podcasts, and videos are provided for general information purposes only and do not constitute accounting, legal, tax, or other professional advice. Visitors should not act upon the content or information found here without first seeking appropriate advice from an accountant, financial planner, lawyer, or other professional.
Hey, this is Ro. And if you're a business owner struggling with hiring or just tired of doing it yourself, I highly recommend the Build Your Dream Team Secret Podcast series. There are 7 episodes packed with real stories from founders who've cracked the code on hiring, built high-performing teams, and finally got out of the day-to-day grind. My favorite part? It's not fluff. It's systems, strategy, and results. Text DREAM to 55444. That's DREAM to 55444 to check it out. You'll thank me later.